I took an auto. It was a shared taxi. There were two other passengers with me in the auto. Both of them were speech and hearing challenged. I saw them discuss and communicate with the auto driver, and I was impressed that they were able to communicate. The auto driver understood them, and they knew that he understood them. I was impressed and I was inspired to learn sign language so that I become more expressive and convey myself better. At this time, I was still working with the MNC. I almost worked for 2 decades with that company. And briefly, I worked from Germany, China, and Saudi Arabia, supporting their offices there. While I was working with this MNC, I did pursue art. It was as a hobby since 2008. I pursued with oil painting, acrylic, woodcuts, and crafts like embroidery and quilt making. Now, all of these were something which I loved because all of them gave me some life lessons. Like most of you all who are painting and who are doing these will understand me better when I say oil painting gave me a life lesson that it is very forgiving. You do something wrong, you can again blend another color on it and it will work. Whereas acrylic, you need to be very decided because it dries quickly. And woodcuts, it taught me that there is beauty in being natural, in being real. All of these art forms were very interesting. I was pursuing as a hobby. I did hold some solo exhibitions as well. It was very fulfilling for me. I was very happy doing an MNC job and also pursuing art. But somewhere deep down, I was feeling insecure. I was insecure about my drawing, about my perspectives, about the proportions. And very often, as much as I received a lot of encouragement and support from friends, family, strangers, I also did receive a lot of judgment from them for probably my style of art, for the composition, for my drawings. And this criticism actually kept me searching for some more different techniques, different mediums where I would be able to express myself better. And in that journey of wanting to continue with my passion of learning different type of arts, I came across a person called Dr. P. Solomon Raj, who was 90 years then, who's a well-known batik artist. When I met him, he told me that he owns an ashram in Vijayawada, where it's all about printing techniques. So I visited his ashram in Vijayawada, and he taught me, because I was interested in fabric and something which had to do with the human aspect as well. He taught me through the process of batik. And when I heard the process of batik, I knew that what I was thinking was my weakness will become my strength if I pursued that particular medium. So I was very desperate to learn that art. But doctor was almost 90 years. He could just explain to me, not take me through it. And once I came back, I was on the lookout for places where they could teach this form of art. I did search a lot on the web. I did surf a lot of YouTube videos. All of them have some information, but not all information where I could work on it by myself. So I was on the lookout, and then I found that there was a workshop happening in Hyderabad. I went to the workshop. I learned the technique of batik. But when it came to coloring, what happened was when we washed it, the color just washed out. So now I had a new challenge of learning how to color in batik. And while I was looking out for all of this, I really persevered for almost 1.5 years to find a place. I did search a lot. It looks very easy to just say that I need to learn dyeing. So there are so many dyeing shops in Hyderabad. I did go to them as well. And I would tell that I'm willing to work part-time to do something, to learn about that. But it's not so easy for people to teach us as because it was a hobby. Then I came with a lot of perseverance. I came to know of a place called Weavers Service Center. It is a unit run by the Textile Ministry of Government of India. I enrolled for that course, and because I was working with an MNC at that time, I had to inform my sponsor in Saudi and my manager here in India that I was interested. Looking at my interests, they permitted me to take up that course. So, in that course, I learned both of these traditional local arts, that is batik and kalamkari. Batik is something where the process of batik is where you apply, just like how in painting you draw a sketch and you apply paint. In batik you draw a sketch and with wax you draw your lines, and after you do that you dip it in color, and when you dip it in color the wax which you have applied cracks, and wherever the cracks happen the color seeps in, and after you wash it it gives a beautiful texture to your art of work. It's same like how it touched a human aspect for me. It's like when we are hurt, what happens? We heal, and we equip ourselves better in that area. We become stronger. There's a beauty where we also tend to help somebody else who's going through that situation. So I was more attracted towards learning batik and kalamkari. Kalamkari also is like therapy. If those of you who know about this process, even before you start to draw in kalamkari, you need to prepare the fabric. And once you prepare the fabric, again the fabric is treated for it to develop color. So it is another learning for me in kalamkari was where the process, the journey is as important as your destination. So with all of this of batik and kalamkari, which kept me going, I started to work. I realized that there were very less people who were teaching this in a complete way. There is block printing happening, there is screen printing happening in both batik and in kalamkari, but there is no authentic work happening for people who are interested to learn these traditional arts. So I started printing and printing studio for textile, where I started to teach this. And the head of Department of Painting of Jawaharlal Nehru Architecture and Fine Arts University, she invited me to teach the students there. And she said, after 40 years, we have someone who's teaching us batik. And I was excited. I was thrilled that what I had learned for so many days and trying to find, I found a place where I could teach it again. And while I was doing this, I was also working on a lot of artwork in batik while I was working, and I was posting on social media. So Dr. Hari Krishna Mamidi, the Director of Language and Culture, Government of Telangana, he invited me and sponsored a 7-day batik exhibition at the State Art Gallery. And he mentioned that I'm the only woman who's in Telangana who's practicing this art, and he encouraged me to take it forward. So that compliment from him made me feel more responsible, that I need to work on this technique in passing it on to the next generation and passing it on in the complete way. And that's how the studio started, where I do all of this. I teach in schools, I teach in colleges, I teach in universities, I teach to private groups, I teach even to a single individual who comes who's interested to learn this. So apart from that, I also do customization of batik and kalamkari work. I call myself a social entrepreneur more because I'm more eager to pass on this technique for people to use it. Most of you all must be knowing batik and kalamkari in the olden days, it was used to tell stories. So when you convey a story, they used to draw it on fabric, and then they used to share it in temples and all, telling Ramayana and Mahabharata stories. And after that, those were just being screen printed on fabric, on saris, on material, and it was used. But it was not going further than that. So when I started to learn, I realized that there are new ways to use these old traditional techniques and to pass on, to keep them alive, and also to pass on to the younger generation. So that had become my vision and also mission, to pass on these techniques which I learned, and I also practice them. And I also wanted to do it in a very eco-friendly and a sustainable way. So for both of these traditional local arts which I do, I use only handloom, I use hand woven, and I use artists, artisans who are working with handloom and hand woven fabrics. And apart from that, maybe very few know that in batik we have to use chemical, whereas in kalamkari we use natural. But I wanted even batik to become natural in India. So recently I have been to Indonesia. I spent quite some time there, away from the hustle and bustle of city, surrounded only by nature. I immersed myself into learning and implementing natural and eco-friendly ways of practicing batik. And I have, after coming back, I have started to implement that, and I start to work on it. And my niche, I should say, in uh, in calling myself a successful social entrepreneur is, there are two influences which I have followed, and those are two quotes. One is, "The great artist is a simplifier," and the other one is, "Tell your story and you will be interesting." So I tell stories of my client by designing their stories on their fabric, by by sharing their beliefs, by sharing their inspirations. I help them tell their stories. That is what I do. And I would like to share a few of the stories which I have done for different clients. This was, I just draped it as a display. This was designed for an advocate. She was working with women who are distressed, who did not have help from family, from friends, or even support from the judicial system itself. She was working people who are in dark places, who didn't know how to reach out, and because she was working to get justice to them. And she had shared a few incidents with me of this. She told me, "Okay, you design and express what I would be." So I designed this because the moon shines in the dark. So I had designed this with the moon in the dark night. And she was very thrilled about it, that I had used a visual to express her in that way. Uh, this is not a very clear picture, but this is a jacket done for a person. It is actually a Google map with the different destinations with the name of God on it. So his experience was, when he was going through different situations like health issues, or maybe he was scared or something insecure, he found God in those situations. So these destinations over here, which are on the Google map, they have names of God as peace, God as a guide, God as a protector, a God who watches over him. He's a very famous personality. He is a world Guinness Book World Record holder. He has traveled the most number of countries in the shortest time. This is his book, which he has written, Unthinkable. So on his shirt, which he's wearing here, are all the names of the countries he has traveled. So then it was 245. So I made a motif. This is also done in batik. This is a dupatta which is done in kalamkari. So this lady for whom I customized, she was celebrating her 25th wedding anniversary, and they had a love song when they were dating, Tere Mere Milan Kiye Rehna. So she wanted that song on the dupatta with procession, wedding procession. So that was done for her. This is done for a bride. This is of a mother and child, an image of a mother and child. So this bride recently got married, and it is actually her Peddama. Peddama is mother's elder sister. So she passed away, but she took care of her, it seems, like a small, like her own child. So she wanted to feel during the wedding ceremony, she wanted that embrace of that mother. So this was designed for her. And by the way, this particular reel on Insta has about 1 million views. She's a director of an NGO who works with trafficked women. And her inspiration is Mother Teresa and Amy Carmichael. And she wanted that on her jacket. She said, wherever I go, I want to talk, but I'm not able to. You just can't start talking of your work which you do. So she wanted an icebreaker. So it has pictures of Mother Teresa, Amy Carmichael, herself, and the wins she had in this journey as an NGO of helping trafficked people. So it's done in the traditional technique of kalamkari, but in a contemporary style. And this is the dupatta which I did for my then quality manager while I was working for an MNC. So this quality manager was going through a very tough time in her life. But I also remember that I was working on a project and I needed help. So when you're going through a difficult time, it's very hard to be kind to others. But she was very, very patient and understanding towards me. And she saw that I successfully completed my project. As a part of gratitude, I did this for her. I did it in contemporary style. It's a heart which has flowers blooming on it. Because what I felt was, what is in your heart will reflect in the action. So the one which I'm wearing is a kalamkari. It's actually a storyboard of 6 women who I feel inspired by, who have gone through tough times, who were inspired, who made a turnaround in their life. So this is a storyboard of that. And I usually take my clients through the process of batik and kalamkari if they happen to come to my studio and they have ordered or customized anything in batik and kalamkari, so that they know what the process goes through, so that they feel more happy when they wear it. And though I had a fulfilling and a very stable job at the MNC, I quit it, I left it, and I started this textile printing studio because I felt that I had to give back to the society what I had learnt. And I had really worked hard on the capability to get all these skill set. So at some point, I knew that I had to take a step of faith, and I took that leap. Thank you.